Hey, if you're watching this, you work in sales as a growth engineer or a GTM engineer, and you're tasked with building tools for your sales and marketing team. And Deepline is really great for, some ad hoc kind of lead list generation, things along those lines. But you get to a point where you mature in your process enough where you realize, hey, we really want to codify, our very strong opinion on what it looks like to create account mapping lists to understand, hey, for this particular account, who's the economic buyer, who is the influencer, who's a likely tech champion, and rinse and repeat from there. And there's a lot of kind of nuances that come with that. And instead of, having people configure the right prompt, which will always kind of be a gamble to a certain degree, what would it look like to just use native code, right? And so let me talk through it conceptually as a data pipeline to illustrate what this does, quickly skim through the code, and then actually just run it because seeing is believing. So step one is I want to simply do this. I want to copy and paste a LinkedIn company or a profile, or even just put the domain of like, hey, I want to look up XYZ company. From there, it detects the seed and it says, hey, based off all these kind of like parallel tracks, let's verify and lock the account just so we're all, on the same page with, the context we want to reach from that point on. From there, we go through, hey, let's look through all these roles. We have a default limit configured of, hey, we only want to spend 100 credits versus we don't want this to explode suddenly to 1,000 by accident. Two is it has, some codified roles over here for what we determine to be, kind of the buying committee for some dev tools that we're selling people. Okay. From there, we want to search candidates just natively, and you don't have to know the APIs for any of these things. They just happen automatically natively through Deepline. And so we call upon, some native tooling there. And then we rank based off titles of like, hey, if they're a CTO, they're likely economic buyer given the nature of our tool and how we go to market. Okay. And then from there, verify, hey, are they still employed there? And if not, we verify, hey, this is a former, kind of employee there, but that's still important information because that gives a signal of like, oh, hey, like, are they looking for a new role, right? / hey, does it even make sense to pursue this if they're still looking for that role to replace, right? And then from there, we get the LinkedIn, and then we verify, hey, let's get the actual email, and based off how Deepline works with the tool calls, hey, if we notice, hey, the latest email that we retrieved is not related to, what is their quote unquote current employer on LinkedIn, they most likely have, a net new employer that they may not have put on LinkedIn yet. Okay. And then ultimately we predict each person's role in the deal just based off their title, right? And so we just have simple mappings of, hey, if they're CTO, et cetera, economic buyer, tech champion, informed stakeholders. And then we just export a simple CSV. But like I said, seeing is believing. And so I'm actually going to show you right now what that looks and feels like. I'm just going to say, hey, Deepline SDK, run the account mapping play for, let's say, JP Morgan Chase. And even though I have this in code, I can still use Claude Code in order to just simply call upon it and get the result that I expect, right? And the key thing to note is, I'm going to actually show this while this is running, is that we can change this, because the reason why it's important to codify this with the actual TypeScript SDK within Deepline is that we can control or version control this over time. Because let's say, hey, what we consider to be the buying committee, today may look and feel completely different 3 months from now. This just may be, an engineering manager. We don't need a head of in order to win deals with this particular type of customer, right? And so that's the reason why this is so important, because we get to see the evolution of how we build pipeline versus just relying on one-off prompts and just auditing how people have tweaked that language naturally over time. And so it's going to show the workflow directly within Deepline. And this is just, showing just a highlight of, expressing how the code snippets map to just some of the tool calls. And we can even see, some intermediate data along the way, right? But I'm actually going to show off the final output back within my code editor over here, right? And so if I go over here, I'm going to click on this, and let's see if it actually did JP Morgan Chase. And bam, just like that, it got me all these kind of verified titles, gave me seniority tiers based off just how we mapped it, in addition to, just showing me the LinkedIn URL. And if I wanted to and, spend some more credits, I could just say, hey, Deepline, I want you to actually verify some emails and not just give me the LinkedIn profiles. So in summation, just wanted to show off, ultimately, this is about really making it easy to codify all the nuances and the strong opinions you have to build a lead list that, your team feels really good about using based off all the nuances, of how your team wants to operate. And so, yeah, we're going to make sure you have all the code, make sure this is as plain terms as possible so you don't have to, read every single line to make sense of it. And hope you have fun, y'all. Bye.